Our mission in the 20th century was to bring universal access to electricity to all Americans. We did that. In the 21st century, I think our mission will be twofold. One, to decarbonize our generation fleet, which we're on the way to doing. And secondly, to make the communities we serve the most energy efficient in the world. And that's by investing in our customers, both residential and commercial, by helping them use energy wisely and to produce productivity gains in the use of electricity.
In the first few days at Davos, there only are a few days, but in the first 24 hours, the mood seemed somewhat somber over discussions about the financial crisis. But now I actually see that mood changing, and it seems some effective work has been done. Can you give me your insight on how you feel now leaving Davos?
One characteristic all leaders have to have, and that's optimism. Pessimism is not an option. And quite frankly, as we've talked about the problem of the economies in the world, and we find that we're more interlinked than we had ever thought. When we look at the financial markets that look like they're totally in the ditch, yes, you have to first kind of deal with that reality. But what I've found over the last several days at Davos is worldwide leaders start to talk about these issues. They start to focus on, well, how can we solve the problem? How can we find our way to the other side? What are the solutions? What are the good ideas? So I leave here very optimistic about our ability, with leaders in the government sector, leaders from the corporate sector. Sure, there's more pain in front of us. No question about that. But I leave here with a sense of optimism about what can get done, what will get done, and I believe most of the people that came here will leave here with that feeling.
And final last question. At Forbes this year, we focused on what the future of capitalism would look like after or as the financial crisis progresses. Your insight on that?
Listen, I'm old-fashioned. What's made the U.S. what it is today is really capitalism. There is no such thing as a free markets. All markets are regulated, and you regulate them differently at different times. But I want to make a very important point that I think a lot of people are missing. And that is, if you look at the globalization of financial markets, which is old-fashioned capitalism, that's occurred since early 1980, there's been remarkable innovation. It has raised the standard of living for Americans. It's raised the standard of living for people in the developed world. It's been amazing. If you think back to the early 1980s, what has gotten done. And we've had fewer recessions. Yes, we've had some speed bumps along the way. The Mexican crisis in the early 80s, 1987, we had a speed bump. The housing market in 92, long-term capital management in 98. But all of these were speed bumps in the scheme of things. This is the first legitimate, appears to be the first really tough patch of road that we have hit during this last 30 years. And so we can't, at this point, say it's a bad thing. And what I really worry about people, and I've heard a couple economists say that we're going to nationalize our banks. That's wrong-headed thinking. Or the notion that government should play a bigger and bigger role. The fact of the matter is government should set clear policy, and then they should allow business to use what we do best, capital, innovation, ingenuity, to find a way to solve the problems. And it's that combination of good government with aggressive, smart corporations focused on their mission that's going to bring a better quality of life to the people of this country, not just now, but in the future. So I think we can find a way through this. What I fear the most is I fear that the government, now that they have ownership interest, will try to dictate policies that haven't really worked in general society, but in these specific institutions. What I fear is that this nationalization type effort or ownership effort around the world in banks will balkanize this incredibly resourceful global financial market that we have. So my hope is that we take time, work our way through this, and at the end of the day, put additional regulations in because I think they're needed, but to allow the market to work and allow innovation to happen, because that is the best answer for not just Americans, but people throughout the world.